Okay, so after you read about some different aspects of color theory in the slides, you're going to practice using some of the things that you learned on a page in your sketchbook. So we're going to experiment with the color red since we are using the color red in our Candy Mints assignment. This is a good one to kind of play around with to tap into each of the different aspects of color theory. So you're going to need a red colored pencil for this assignment, but you'll also need green, orange, violet, and a colorless blender for this as well. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is create a value scale. You don't have to draw all this frilly stuff up here in your sketchbook. You just have to do each of the 4 steps. So number 1, the value scale. You're going to create 6 boxes, and those boxes are going to go from dark red to a midtone to a white. White is going to be number 6. Red is going to be number 1. So in order to do the value scale, I have here press harder or layer your color. So if you're doing dark red, you're going to either have to press down really hard with your colored pencil, or you're going to have to do multiple layers of your color, which is really the best technique for doing that. So you're going to do layer on layer on layer on layer to get that dark red. What I think is best to do is to start down here with your lighter values and build your way up to your darker values here at the lower end of your value scale. So if you start with your lightest value, which is your number 5, well, lightest value is your number 6, but your lightest one you're drawing is your number 5. You're going to press really gently with your colored pencil. When you go to the next one, you're going to press even harder, or you're going to do 2 layers of that same pressure. So if I pressed, pretty gently here for number 5, I would do the same thing twice for number 4, and so on and so forth until you build up to your dark red, which is number 1 here on your scale. So you should have either pressed really hard on this one or layered a lot of your red in order to get it really saturated. You should be able to see the difference between each value in your scale. So as you go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, each of these should be distinct and appear different. Okay. Number 2 is analogous colors. So remember, analogous colors are those which are next to each other on the color wheel. So because we're using red for our main color, you're going to put red in the center circle here. And then you're going to make a red violet and a red orange. So in order to do that, you're going to layer red and violet together for this circle, and you're going to layer orange and red together for this circle. I went back with my colorless blender and I blended these together, which is why they look so smooth. So that's something that you might want to consider after you get these colors in here. But that's going to be your analogous color set. So red, violet, red, and red, orange. For the red, violet, and the red, orange, you're going to have to mix the colors here that's to the side of the circle. Okay, complementary colors are those colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. So again, red is our area of focus here for this little experiment in our sketchbook. So the complement to red is green. Green is directly across from red on the color wheel. So red is our main color. Green is the complement of red. Now, remember, when you put 2 complements next to each other, they enhance their brightness. So green next to red makes each color appear more vibrant. However, the opposite effect happens when they are mixed together. They tend to make what's called a neutral gray. Sometimes it can look like a brown. But mixing complements is a great strategy for darkening colors. So if I wanted to have a red that was a little bit more natural looking, instead of adding black, which can tend to flatten something out, it's a good idea to add the complement, which in this case is green, to help it look more natural and lifelike. So you're going to mix those 2 together. You're going to layer your red on top of your green or your green on top of your red, and then you'll end up with the neutral gray or brown in the center there. And again, great strategy for darkening up a color is adding a little bit of the complement into that color. So that's number 3. Again, these were blended with my colorless blender, so you may want to go back and do that as well. Lastly, you're going to practice blending these two colors together. You're going to blend red into violet. So for this, you want to start pretty lightly. So you're going to have something that's maybe like, you know, a 4 or 5 on your value scale, really lightly on each side. So you're going to go really lightly with your red, really lightly with your violet, and then you're going to overlap them in the middle. You can go back and relayer it to make it darker if you want that darker look. But starting out by layering colors, again, layers, 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 that's what's important. That's going to help you achieve that nice, soft blend in the middle. So the directions for this say, practice evenly blending these two colors together. Use your colorless blender over top to help mix them. So once you have those layers lightly in there and they're overlapping there in the center and you can't see any really like harsh lines in between the two here, you can go over with your colorless blender, which is this tool down here. So I gave you guys this in your art kit. If you don't have one, you'll have to do without, but it's a wooden pencil and it says colorless on it right here. So just make sure you don't mix that up with the white charcoal pencil. Don't use a white charcoal pencil. So it'll say Prismacolor Premier Colorless on it. That's what you want to use. Once you go over top with that, it'll help blend it in, almost like, you know, you use a paintbrush to mix color. You can use a colorless blender to help blend color as well. And it'll make it look a little darker, a little bit more saturated, but it'll also help mix these two colors together. So in your sketchbook, you want to make sure you're doing each of these steps 1 through 4. Then once you're done, you're going to take a picture of your work and turn it in on Google Classroom.